Hold up, Alabama fans. What I'm about to tell you about this Georgia game just changed everything. And I guarantee 99% of Tide Nation completely missed this sneaky good news buried in the SEC availability report. This isn't just about who's playing and who's not. This is about 3 game-changing developments that could turn this entire matchup on its head. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, you're missing out on the insider analysis that no other Alabama content creator is giving you. What's happening, Crimson Tide faithful? Your boy is back with some absolutely crucial information that just dropped. And trust me when I say this, the SEC availability report for Alabama versus Georgia revealed some sneaky good news that has me more confident about this weekend than I was 24 hours ago. But before we dive deep into these game-changing updates, make sure you absolutely smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell because this channel is your ultimate headquarters for Alabama football insider information, breaking news, and the kind of analysis you simply will not find anywhere else. We're closing in fast on 29,000 subscribers, and I know we can crush that milestone before our epic watch party this weekend for Alabama versus Georgia. And speaking of that watch party, you definitely don't want to miss it, because we're going to be giving away an authentic Alabama jersey during the stream. Plus, we've got daily videos dropping, watch parties every single week, and the most passionate Alabama football community on all of YouTube. So hit that subscribe button right now, join the Tide family, and let's get into this sneaky good news that has me fired up about our chances in Athens. First things first, let's talk about the injury report and what it means for Alabama heading into this massive showdown with Georgia. The SEC dropped their official availability report, and while there are some expected absences, there are 3 pieces of sneaky good news that I think are absolutely massive for our chances this weekend. Jan Liam is going to be out for this game. We don't know exactly how long he's going to be dealing with that neck injury, and that's obviously not ideal. Jeremiah Bean is obviously out for the season, which we already knew. But here's where things get interesting and where the good news starts piling up. Danny Lewis Jr. is listed as probable for this game, and let me tell you why this is absolutely huge news that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Danny Lewis Jr. has not played a single snap so far in this 2025 season. He was dealing with injuries for a significant portion of last year, and then he started dealing with injury issues again during fall camp this year. But now he's listed as probable, which means there's a really good chance we're going to get him back for this crucial Georgia matchup. This could be absolutely massive for Alabama's offense, especially in the run game. You're already getting back a major upgrade at that running back position with Jam Miller returning from his injury, and now there's a legitimate chance you get an additional experienced blocker at that tight end spot with Danny Lewis Jr. potentially making his 2025 debut. Think about the impact this could have on our offensive game plan. You've been watching true freshman Caleb Edwards, out there getting a lot of the playing time as that extra blocker at the tight end position so far this season, and honestly, I think he's done an okay job for a freshman thrust into that role. But getting a veteran player like Danny Lewis Jr. back in there, a guy who's been primarily a blocking tight end throughout his Alabama career, working in both the Nick Saban offense and now adapting to the Kalen DeBoer offense, that experience and knowledge could be absolutely key to Alabama really exploding. In the run game against Georgia, Tim Keenan is also listed as probable for this game against the Georgia Bulldogs. And while I still wouldn't expect him to get a full workload coming back from injury, just getting Tim Keenan back on the field is going to be absolutely huge for Alabama's run defense. You're still going to see some rotation with London Simmons out there, but having Keenan available gives us so much more depth and experience in the middle of that defensive line. But here's the sneaky good news that I think is the biggest story from this injury report. Jam Miller wasn't listed on the availability report at all. That means he's completely healthy, completely ready to go, and completely available for this massive Georgia showdown. After missing time with injury, getting Jam Miller back at full strength is like getting a brand new weapon in our offensive arsenal. Now let's flip the script and talk about Georgia's availability report, because there's one thing that really sticks out to me that could be a massive opportunity for Alabama's pass rush. Ernest Green, one of Georgia's starting offensive tackles, is listed as doubtful for this game. This is absolutely huge news that I don't think enough people are talking about. Green has been playing left tackle for Georgia over the past 2 seasons, But this year, Georgia switched him over to right tackle, moving Monroe Freeling over to that left tackle spot. But here's the problem for Georgia. They haven't really figured out who's supposed to be their primary guy at that right tackle position when Green isn't available. Check this out. Georgia has played a total of 8 different guys at the right tackle spot this season. Now, there's a bit of context here because 4 of those guys have actually played more than 25 snaps, while a couple other guys have only played 1 snap or were just Freeling moving from left tackle to right tackle for a single play. But even so, you can see there's been a ton of rotation at that right tackle spot for Georgia, the 4 main guys who have been getting significant snaps at right tackle for Georgia show you just how unsettled this position has been for them. This could be absolutely massive for Alabama if we're able to take advantage of this Georgia offensive line weakness. Georgia usually has a pretty solid offensive line, so this is not something you see very often from a Kirby Smart team. I don't know exactly who's going to end up playing that right tackle spot for Georgia if Ernest Green can't go. I would assume it's probably going to be either Bo Haley or Michael Uiagalelei. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I think it's probably going to be one of those 2 guys stepping up if Green is unable to play. But regardless of who gets the start, this could mean a really big day for some of Alabama's defensive linemen and those wolf position guys that we'll talk about in just a second. This is the kind of matchup advantage that can completely change the complexion of a game, especially when you're talking about Alabama's pass rush going up against a potentially inexperienced or backup offensive tackle. I want to hear from you guys. Down in the pinned comment of today's video, name an Alabama player that you think is going to get a sack or even multiple sacks against Georgia this weekend. Drop a player's name down in the comments section because I'm really curious to see who you think is going to take advantage of this potential weakness in Georgia's offensive line. Couple of players that really stick out to me outside of those interior defensive linemen have got to include L.T. Overton, right? He got into that sack column last week against Wisconsin, and it's still a feeling out process for him at this point in the season. I'm still wondering about that bandit position. Is it going to be Jordan Renard getting the majority of the snaps? Honestly, I would love to see a little bit more of Keon Keeley in there as well, especially with Tim Keenan coming back but not necessarily getting a full snap load. Like I said earlier, you're still going to see some rotation with London Simmons. But I think having Keon Keeley in there as another bandit option could really help Alabama's pass rush. I think it's time that we see more of Keon Keeley because as much as I like Jordan Renard and appreciate what he brings to the table, he just hasn't really been a guy that has stood out to me in the first couple of games of the season. Sometimes you need to shake things up and give other guys opportunities to make plays. Then you also have guys like Quay Robinson and Jihad Campbell at that wolf position. I think both of these players have played okay so far this season, but I'm still waiting for that breakout performance from Quay Robinson. Could this be the game against Georgia, when they have so many different right tackles who have been rotating in and out of that position? When you have their main guy, Ernest Green III, banged up throughout the season and now listed as doubtful for this crucial game? I'm very excited to see which Alabama pass rushers can take advantage of what appears to be a real weakness in Georgia's offensive line. This is the kind of matchup that can create opportunities for big plays and game-changing moments. Now let's talk about what could be a legitimate breakout game for Ty Simpson, because this is a massive opportunity for him to step up and really solidify himself as one of the top quarterbacks, not just in the SEC, but in the entire country as well. Here's what's really interesting. Kirby Smart, the Georgia head coach, at his press conference this week said that Ty Simpson was the hottest quarterback in college football over the last 2 weeks. And to be completely honest with you, he's pretty much right about that assessment. If you go back to that Florida State game, Ty wasn't great. He had a 53% completion percentage, and I think he was playing a little hesitant out there. He wanted to see receivers wide open down the field before he would pull the trigger and throw the ball to them. He wasn't really playing with a lot of anticipation, wasn't trusting his reads, wasn't trusting his arm talent. But you have to understand the context. It was his first start as Alabama's quarterback, and it was his first start on the road in a hostile environment like Tallahassee. That's incredibly tough for anybody to handle, especially when Florida State went out there and completely revamped their entire team in the transfer portal. You didn't really know exactly what you were working against in terms of personnel and scheme. Over the last 2 weeks, though, Ty Simpson has been absolutely incredible, completing 89% of his passes over that span. He has looked significantly more decisive in the pocket. He's been throwing with anticipation, trusting his receivers to be where they're supposed to be. Overall, he just looks so much more comfortable and confident back there at the quarterback position. Now, to be completely fair and provide proper context, the level of competition against these last two opponents hasn't been elite. ULM is ULM. They're not going to provide the same kind of defensive challenge that you'll see from SEC competition. Wisconsin, while they're a Big Ten team, they're just not one of the better teams this season in that conference. But even going back to that Florida State game where he didn't play his best football, I thought the most impressive thing about Ty was that he still hasn't turned the ball over this season. Knock on wood, that streak continues against Georgia this weekend. But if Alabama can go into Athens and play a clean game without turnovers, Ty Simpson might find himself in some serious Heisman Trophy conversation because Kirby Smart is absolutely right. Over the past 2 weeks, Ty Simpson has been one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in college football. Let's just focus on the SEC here for a moment. I want you guys to get down to the comments section and rank Ty Simpson among quarterbacks in the SEC. There are 16 teams in the conference now, so let me know where you think he ranks from 1 to 16 among SEC quarterbacks based on what you've seen so far this season. Before we wrap up today's show, I want to talk about what might still be a legitimate position battle at that right tackle spot for Alabama. Freshman Michael Carroll has continued to get meaningful snaps over the past 2 weeks at right tackle, and this is something that's worth monitoring closely. Against Louisiana Monroe, Michael Carroll played 30 snaps. Against Wisconsin, he played 18 snaps. So I'm genuinely wondering, against Georgia, is this going to be a game where Michael Carroll continues to get extra snaps and potentially compete for the starting job? Honestly, it makes me a little bit nervous just because you're going up against much tougher competition now, SEC competition at that. Throwing a true freshman into that kind of environment always makes me nervous, but at the end of the day, I just want the best 5 players on the field. I want the best offensive line possible, protecting Ty Simpson and opening holes for our running backs. You might even see some rotation at that right guard spot as well, with Jaden Roberts continuing to get healthier and potentially working his way back into more significant playing time. When you talk about Wilkin Formby, he's a player who I don't think has played awful by any means this season, but he definitely hasn't taken that next step that I really thought and hoped we were going to see from him this year. He does have one penalty that he committed against Florida State. He hasn't given up any sacks, which is obviously good, but he has given up 7 hurries so far this year, and he's not really doing the best job in run-blocking situations either. I'm starting to wonder if Michael Carroll is just going to get more snaps this week against Georgia. I think that's a legitimate question to ask heading into this game. A couple of weeks ago, after that Louisiana Monroe game, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb was asked about whether there was a battle at the right tackle position. At the time, I thought this was probably just typical coach speak, but I'm starting to think it might be more of a legitimate competition than I initially realized. Ryan Grubb said, 100% I see that as a competition. All of these guys are competing for spots. I thought Michael did a good job. There were some things that he certainly needs to clean up. The thing that I like about Michael is he does compete. What you saw on the field in the game is how Michael practices too. He is super competitive. He is a physical kid that did a really nice job for his first significant playing time. This makes me think that this offensive line competition is very real, and it could be a significant factor in how Alabama performs against Georgia's defensive front. I think this is genuinely a big question mark for Alabama's offensive line right now, so I want to hear from you guys one more time down in the comments section. Pick a right tackle for me. Type F if you think it should be Wilkin Formby getting the majority of the snaps, or type C if you want to see Michael Carroll. Go out there and get more opportunities this week against Georgia. That's going to wrap up today's breakdown of all the sneaky good news coming out of the injury reports and position battles heading into this massive Alabama versus Georgia showdown. Make sure you're subscribed, make sure you've got notifications turned on, and make sure you join us for our watch party this weekend, where we'll be giving away that Alabama jersey and breaking down every single play of what promises to be an absolutely incredible game. What do you think, Tide Nation? Are you feeling more confident about this Georgia game after hearing about these injury updates and potential matchup advantages? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Roll Tide!